So you finally pulled the trigger. You decided to go out and get your CDL. Maybe as a child you saw trucks driving by. Maybe you played with trucks when you were a kid. Maybe you just decided that maybe your family member is in the trucking industry and you just decided that this is something you might want to do. But you finally pulled the trigger and you went out and got your CDL, or you're thinking about getting your CDL. Now what? In this series right here, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do my best, use my experience to help you kind of weave your way through the decision-making processes that will help you have a little bit better, a little bit faster, successful career in the trucking industry. Stay tuned. All right, welcome to the channel. If you watch any of my other videos, you'll know that this channel is primarily focused on what it takes to haul specialized freight. However, I decided to take this channel, branch off a little bit, and do a series on focusing on the new truck drivers and helping you guys get into this career and helping you navigate the difficult decisions that you will have in the very beginning of your career that will help you advance your career faster and get to the end result that you want to be at. For anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Brett Taylor. I've been hauling specialized freight for a very long time. I've been trucking since 1999. I have done a lot of different segments of trucking. I pulled van for a while. I pulled reefer. I did food delivery. I did roof truss delivery, roll-off box delivery. I ran dump for a while. The majority of my career has been hauling specialized freight in the open deck category. I also worked in an office for a while with a company where I did driver manager, dispatching, assistant terminal manager. I did a little bit of safety, assistant safety director for that company. So I've got a ton of experience from 1999 until now. So I'm hoping to use my experience that I've had to help guide you and help you guide yourself really through the difficult decisions you have ahead in order to make this trucking career what you want it to be. First off, I want to say I'm proud of you for making the decision to become a truck driver. The truck driving is a difficult decision to make because it's very unknown to a lot of people. It's definitely one of the most rewarding things you can do as a career. At least from my experience, I'm sort of biased on that, but I have made a pretty good life out of truck driving, and most of the people I know have also done that. So great job on making this decision. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of, now that you've made this decision, now you either have your CDL or you've enrolled in CDL school, or you're just looking around like, okay, what school should I go to? Unfortunately, it has now made it to where you have to go to school. You can no longer have a buddy with a truck teach you how to drive, pass the test. You can go down and use his truck. That's not a thing anymore. The government has stepped in and said you absolutely have to go to a CDL school in order to obtain your CDL. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know. I don't know that matters. I think guys getting taught by other drivers is great. I think guys getting taught by instructors that are good is also great. So I personally was an instructor for 10 years with 2 different schools. I did it part-time on the weekends, and there was one school that I taught at where the curriculum that they had set, we were only allowed to teach our students how to pass the test. And then there was a different school that I actually finished my career as an instructor at, which I think was a much better situation, where that school gave us the freedom as instructors to teach these students. Once they learn how to drive the truck, then we get to teach them how to become truck drivers, how to be real truck drivers. And that rather than just someone who passed a test. Because there's a very big difference when you come out of school. There's a very big difference between you passing that test and you knowing what you're doing when you start your career in trucking. And you're going to find that out very quickly once you start your once you make a decision on which company you want, and you go to you start your career. So first things first, let's get right down to it. I took some notes here, and I apologize. You're going to see me looking down at my notes. I don't want to miss anything, and I kind of want to stay on topic. I have a way of rambling a little bit, so I want to stay on topic with this. But the first thing, now that you've made this decision, let's assume, I'm assuming that I'm talking to someone who has already completed school and has a CDL, or has just started school and is just now starting to focus on what they want to do with their career. First off, this is not a job. If you made this decision thinking that the truck driving is a job, you may want to reconsider spending that money on school. Truck driving is not a job. It is a career, and it is a lifestyle. It just is. It becomes your lifestyle, and you need to embrace that and be ready for it prior to getting out on the road and getting with your first company. So now that you've made this decision, you've made the leap, and you've decided that this lifestyle is good for you. The first thing that you're going to need to do is figure out what type of trucking you want to do. There's a lot of different types of trucking. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different directions you can go with those different types of trucking. So you need to make a decision on which one of these you think is going to best suit you. There is dry van, which is just, standard box trailer. You see a ton of them on the road every day. There's reefers, which is also a box van, but it's got air conditioning unit connected to the front of it, which keeps the box cool, allows them to haul produce and anything you need to that stays cool while it's in transport. There's open deck, your flatbed, your step deck, your RGN, your double drops, those types of trailers. There's also tanker, doubles and triples, where FedEx and UPS and those carriers pull a lot of the doubles and triples, pup trailers. There's that. There's maybe you want to get into working for FedEx or UPS or any of those companies. So there's a lot of different genres of trucking, and you need to do a little bit of research. And you're gonna hear me say the word research a lot during this video. Research. I cannot stress this enough. If you don't do the research, you're going to be disappointed when you get to the result, or when you get to the place you think you want to be. You're going to be disappointed because you didn't do the research. It's absolutely going to take it from my 20 plus years experience. That is what's going to happen. You're going to be disappointed. So I can't stress it enough to research everything. Know what you're getting into. Step number one, knowing what type of trucking you want to do. Let's say I'm going to focus this series on the open deck because most of my career has been open deck specialized freight. I'm going to kind of direct you because of what my channel does. My channel is focused on specialized freight. So I'm going to kind of steer this whole conversation. I just know what's going to happen, so I'm going to warn you now. I'm going to steer this whole conversation right into specialized open deck category because that's where most of my experience is. And I also think that this is an area of trucking where if you are in trucking for the money, this is where you're going to want to go. This is where you're going to want to end up, I think. So I am going to kind of guide you through whatever other categories I can, but the majority of this you're going to hear me talking is open deck. So the second thing you need to consider once you've decided what area you think, what type of trailer you think you want to pull, and don't limit yourself to just one. You don't necessarily have to say, oh well, man, this Brett Taylor guy on this channel, he absolutely said I got to pick. That's not necessarily true. A lot of people move different. Obviously, I moved to different areas in trucking. Sometimes you think one thing and you get into it and it's not exactly what you thought. That's where the research comes in. And then you realize that maybe I want to try this other thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead, try it. Especially if you get with a company that has both. So that is extremely valuable. So once you know what type of trucking you want to be in, you need to set some goals. I cannot stress this enough. Goals. Set goals. Set your goal. Where do you want your career to be? Where do you want do you want to be a company driver? Do you want to be an owner operator? Do you want to be a fleet manager? Do you want to own a fleet? I think everyone in the trucking industry gets into it in the very beginning, and I don't know that there's any driver I've ever talked to that in the very beginning of the career, they sat back and said, "Yeah, I think I'm just gonna pull van for my whole life for some other company. I think I'm just gonna work for JB Hunt forever." I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say that. Most of the time, what I hear people say is, "Yeah, I'd like to be an owner operator." That's a goal. That's a goal of where you want to take your career. Is it something that you want to do? Research, research, research. Owner operator. It is not as easy as what you think, but it's also very much as rewarding as you think it would be to be an owner operator. I'm into a very unique situation where I am kind of both. I'm not an owner operator. I do not own this truck. I do not make a payment on this truck. I didn't buy this truck. I work for someone else. However, the company I work for, the person I work for, the people I work for, have 100% faith in me, and they allow me to run this truck as an owner operator. I book my own loads. I find my own freight. Which is biting me at the current moment. So I run this truck like I own the truck. However, I don't own the truck. So I still have someone to answer to, but very seldom do they make me answer for anything I do. They trust the decisions I make, and that's so I am in a very unique situation that you will not find. I may be the only driver in this country that has this situation. I don't know. I've never talked to anybody else that has the situation I have, and I'm very fortunate for that. So I set my goal on where I wanted to be, and I'm there. I have an idea of where I want to be now. Like every time I reach a goal, I set a new goal. So I have set this goal for where I wanted to be right now, and I'm there. I've accomplished it. And now I've kind of set a new goal of what I think I'd like to see happen. Setting goals is, you can't reach a goal if you don't set it. So setting goals is probably number 2 most important thing. Set your goal where you want your career to go and stay on a path. Make a path to that goal and get there. Be tenacious in getting to the goal that you have set for yourself. I can't stress that enough. You are the only one that controls where your trucking career goes. You're absolutely the only one. There is no one else that controls it. As much as other people might think they do, your family might a little bit, but you really are the only one that controls where your trucking career goes. So set goals, figure out what type of trailer you want, set some goals. And the third thing that is most critical in the very beginning of before you make a decision before you pack your bag and you throw it over your shoulder and you walk out your door, you kiss your wife, you pat your kids on the head, whatever the case might be, before you do that, the number 3 thing that I think is probably most important is you need to have the discussion with your family. Once you've made a decision on what type of trucking you want, if you want to be an over-the-road truck driver, you better talk to your family. If you have a wife and you have children, you better talk to them and let them know what this actually entails and what you're expecting to happen and what they would like to see happen and what their expectations are for what your career is going to do, because there is a lot of truck drivers in this world that end up in divorce court because they didn't have those conversations in the very beginning of before they started their career as an over-the-road truck driver. Very difficult decision for me. I run regional. I'm home every weekend. My wife and I had extensive conversations about how this was going to go, and even then, it's still like, there's no guarantees in trucking. There's no, this is not a 9-to-5 deal. And you don't always control what's happening. So you may say, hey, it looks like I'm going to be home about 5 o'clock, and you're actually going to get home the next morning. It happens. Traffic, customers, breakdowns, blown tires, anything. These things happen, and your family needs to be prepared for that, and you need to be prepared for that. So that is probably number 3 in the 3 things that I think you need to look at when you're stepping into the beginning part of your career. Now, once you've made that decision, once you've said, okay, all right, I think I've talked to my family, I've talked to my kids, I've done my research, I think that I want to be a flatbed driver, and I think I want to do regional. Awesome. You've got goals set. Now, how do you accomplish those goals? How do you take this from I think I want to I'm there? That's what we're going to cover next in this. And the number 1 thing is, what company do you want to look at? Once you know what section of trucking you want to be in, what company would you like to go work for? Now, there's a lot of, again, we're going to say it, research those companies. There's some things that you can look for when you're researching these companies that are going to be tells of whether it's a good company or maybe not so good of a company. So things that you can research and you can absolutely look at is the longevity of the company. You can look that up online and see how long this company's been in business, see how many times they've been bought if they have been, see how many times they've filed bankruptcy if they had to. You can look all that stuff up online. It takes literally minutes to find out a mass amount of information about any company out there. And so do your research on that. Find out the longevity of a company. That's important. There are a lot of brand new companies in the world that are fantastic. So don't necessarily let it be the final decision for you, but it's good to know that a company has been in business a long time and they clearly are making good financial decisions, which will help you make sure that a paycheck gets deposited in your account when it's supposed to. So keep that in mind. The things that you can look at when you're maybe at the company or approaching the company, the equipment condition that they have, that's incredibly important. What types of trucks do they have? What kind of condition are they in? You want to know what kind of condition they are. Not only most people who get in, you kind of want to have some pride in the vehicle that you're operating. So, is it nice equipment? This also goes, not only is it a pride thing for you to look good when you're pulling into a customer or pulling into a receiver, but it's also, you roll across the scale, you want to know that your equipment, visually, your equipment is at least 50%, maybe more, of the battle when you're crossing a scale on whether you're going to get pulled in or not. They see your truck and it's clean and there's not a bunch of crap on your dashboard, and it appears that you are taking very good care of your truck. So they're going to make the assumption that they're probably not going to find something during an inspection, and they're less likely to pull you in if they automatically think, okay, this guy takes care of his equipment. So does the company take care of the equipment? Does the driver take care of the equipment? So that's important. Look at their equipment and see what they got. If they got a bunch of stuff that's, falling apart and get... Now, here's the thing. A lot of the trucks are on the road. When you're there to do an interview, it's probably going to be during the week, and you're there to look at the company and do an interview. A lot of their trucks are probably, especially their nicer trucks, are going to be on the road. So don't necessarily count that as being the end-all be-all, because they're going to leave. A lot of the trucks that are out of service, or they're just not using it. Maybe that truck is waiting to get traded in or waiting to go to an auction that's just not in their service anymore. So it's not an end-all be-all, but it's very important. The driver retention, not so easy to figure out, but if you happen to catch a couple drivers out in the parking lot when you're walking through, I highly recommend just stopping them and saying, "Hey man, how do you like it here? What's the thing you like about it? What's the thing you hate about it?" And drivers, one thing about truck drivers, we love to talk. So I'm sure anybody will give you a few minutes of their time and they'll tell you what they like, what they don't like, and if they're happy or not. So that's important. Drivers, companies that have a lot of drivers have been there a long time, that's a big one. That's important. Companies that have drivers that haven't been there very long, and they have a longevity history, they have a long history of being in business, then maybe there's something you need to think about there. The shop, this seems very elementary, I guess. Maybe it seems very minuscule when you come to things, but it does make a huge difference. Does that company have its own shop, or does it outsource its mechanics? Outsourcing mechanics, that company generally, whatever company they have outsourced it, they're not going to make you a priority. When there's something wrong with your truck and you go in there, you're probably not going to be their priority. So your truck is not going to get worked on quite as quick as you might think it needs to. But if a company has its own shop and they service their own trucks and do their own thing, number one, they've got eyeballs on them a lot. And number two, when you can walk right in there and say, "Hey, listen, I got a problem with my truck," and chances are they're going to get to it a lot faster than a company that they may have outsourced that work to. So that's an important one, and keep that in mind when you're looking at truck companies. And the last one that I have on this list, and this may be the mother of them all, check their CSA score. Their CSA score is going to tell you everything. I mean, it really is. It's going to tell you. It's going to tell you how well they maintain their trucks. It's going to tell you how well their drivers do on the road. And generally, happy drivers take care of their equipment and have less DOT violations and less time on the scale. Like that's just the way it is. Someone who's happy takes pride in their truck and takes pride in what they do. Someone who's not happy has that attitude where they're like, "I don't care, man. This is just a job, and I'm going to be out of here as soon as possible." So they don't care as much. So that is something that will be reflected on their CSA score in whether they're going through scales or not. Also, the CSA score determines how many times you're pulled into a scale. So a higher CSA score, you're going to get the green light on your easy pass or your pre-pass to roll on by the scale way more often than a company that has a poor CSA score. So that's something to absolutely keep in mind when you're looking at a company. So those things in mind, you've made a decision to be a regional driver. You've made a decision to be a flatbed driver. Maybe you want to point your career toward the specialized side of things, which is what I did with my career. Then you need to set your goal now. You need to set your goal of how to get to that. Does that company that you're looking at, do they offer that? Do they have a specialized division? Do they have the trailers that you need to haul specialized freight? You need to look at those things. If that's where you want to take your career, then you need to make sure you're with a company that will take your career there. Lastly, the thing you need to look at, and this is so high of a priority on everybody's list, but you'll understand why I'm kind of fighting with this a little bit, is pay and benefits. Pay is extremely important, right? How much you're going to get paid. You want to know that when you're out here busting your butt, you're away from home, that it's worth being away from home. That's natural. That's important. Are the benefits good? Do they offer medical, dental, eye care? Do they have a 401k where they, does this company match the 401k at a certain percent? there's a lot of things that go into benefits. I personally don't necessarily believe that what you're going to make in the beginning of your career is not what you're going to make at the end of your career. So weighing what you're going to make in the very beginning maybe isn't as important, because you're probably not going to make a lot of money. You're not going to go out and make $300,000 driving truck. You're just not, especially not your first year. However, does that company offer a path to get you there, and can you, as a driver, get yourself there? That's what you need to focus on. Does this company allow me to advance my career? Do they give me the little bit of freedom? Will they offer me, are they forced dispatch? Or can I pick and choose once in a while what load I want? These are important factors. So I personally, a company that treats me good is worth a few dollars an hour on the pay scale, in my opinion. I would prefer to make a little bit less and work for people that treat me well than make a lot and work for people that treat me like crap. Like, that's just, I want to feel good about myself at the end of the day. I want to feel good about what I do at the end of the day, and I want to feel good about the company at the end of the day. And that is, it's very important to me. Maybe it's not as important to you, but these are things that you need to think about. At the very beginning, these are some of the things you need to think about when you're choosing your career path, choosing what type of trailer you want, and choosing what company you want to get with. Don't necessarily think the first company you sign on with is going to be the last company you sign on with. Truck driving has a very high turnover rate. Not necessarily okay with that. I don't think it should be, but people are very hard to keep happy, and this is a difficult career to be in. A lot of people come into it not expecting the amount of time away from home and the amount of time that, you know, those phone calls at night and the video calls that you can make. It's tough. You know, everybody thinks, oh, video call is so great because I can see my kids. Yeah, you can see them, but you can't touch them. So people aren't necessarily prepared for that, and you need to get yourself mentally prepared. If you make that decision to be out of the road, get yourself mentally prepared for those things. That's going to help you advance your career. The bottom line is you need to be happy with the career you've chosen. So choose well in the beginning. Take my advice, do the research, take the time, do the research on what type of trailer you want to pull, what kind of freight you want to be part of, and make it happen. Go out there, find the company, do the research, and then take your career in your own hands and make it happen. It'll work every time. I hope this helped you. This is just a little brief beginning to the series that I'm creating. You're going to notice in my channel that there's my episodes for my specialized side is all episode 1 through whatever. I think I'm at 79 episodes now. This series here, where I'm helping out the new truck drivers, I'm going to title that a little bit different. It'll be probably like New Trucking episode 1. So you'll be able to just look at my channel real fast, and you'll be able to see which part you want to. Maybe you don't necessarily want to look at my specialized stuff right now because you're starting your career, and you just want to see the advice I have on being a new truck driver and what to do. So that you'll be able to quickly tell just by the way the episodes are that which is which, and you can be able to weave through them. If you're brand new to the channel, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're a veteran to the channel, thank you for returning. I don't know that any of the veterans on my channel are this information is necessarily going to be useful to them. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how many of my subscribers are new to the trucking industry and how many are veterans, but if you're a veteran, thanks for coming back. I appreciate you watching. And if you're again, if you're brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out, helps the channel out, allows me to keep doing this, and gives me a little bit of motivation. I like to see the positive results of the effort I put in on these videos. So I appreciate you watching. I hope everyone has a great night, and stay tuned for the next one. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to discuss yet on the next episode for the new truck drivers, but I'm going to try to take this in step by step in the ladder of getting you to your goal. So I appreciate you tuning in. Hope everyone has a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Prairies, Rocky Mountain highs fade off into the distance like ghost riders in the sky.